All right, guys, in this video, we're going to talk about continuously compounded interest, okay? So in other words, when you work these problems and you're given a word problem, the key that you're going to look for, there's going to be a clue word in these problems. And that clue word is going to be this word right here, continuously compounded. So it's going to say compounded continuously, okay? That's going to be your indication that you need to use this formula. Okay, the formula is this. Now you'll recognize some of this. You'll recognize an A equals, you should recognize the P from a previous formula. Now this E right here, that is a number and it is on your calculator. That is Euler's number, okay? It'll be on your calculator, it'll be presented as E raised to something because we usually always raise it to a power. So you'll need to look for that E button on your calculator, and it is on the Desmos scientific calculator as well. And that Euler's number is raised to the R times T power, okay? R and T. Now, let's just review what these symbols mean. A is your final amount, so that's like we invest something, it's compounded continuously. What's our investment worth after 5 years? That's what we come up with. The P is the initial amount, so if I invest $200, the $200 would be my initial amount. The R is your rate as a decimal, and the T is your time. Now remember, this rate as a decimal, if let's say it's 3.5% is my rate, my interest rate, then that means I have to move that decimal point back and convert that to 0.035, okay? So you've got to convert all your interest rates to decimals. Now, if you're comparing this with the compounded interest formula that we learned earlier, you'll notice that there is no N in this one. The N was where it was compounded annually or compounded semi-annually. The reason we don't have the N here is because this one is compounded continuously. So anytime you see compounded continuously in a word problem, you're going to use this formula instead of the other formula that we learned, okay? So again, this is your clue right here. This is your key word. All right. Again, these are word problems, but we're going to walk through them. I'm going to show you how to mark each piece and plug it in and then use your calculator to solve them. And it's not going to be difficult. So just focus on what I'm doing and pay attention to how I set everything up and mark stuff. Calculate the total amount of the investment or the total paid in the loan for each of the situations below. Okay? All right. An initial deposit of $6,500 is made into a savings account that compounds 6.8% interest. Here's that clue, continuously. That word means you use this formula, that word, for 10 years. What is the balance after 10 years? All right, so let's mark what we know. An initial deposit of $6,500, so that is my principal, that's the initial amount, is made into a savings account that compounds 6.8%. So there's my rate, and I have to convert that to a decimal, which will be 0.068. Interest continuously, that means I use this formula, for 10 years. All right, 10 years, that's my T, that's my time. Okay, so when I set this up, what is the balance after 10 years? I'm looking for A equals, so my A equals P is 6,500, and then Euler's number, E, raised to the 0.06 times T, which is 10 power. Okay? Now, this becomes a calculator problem now. So I'm going to type in 6,500, and then you're going to have to find your E on your calculator. On my calculator, it's right here. So I've got, it looks like this, an E, raised to, and then I'm going to open parenthesis to put in what I'm raising it to, 0.068 times 10. Okay, I get $12,830, and that'll be 21 cents since that's a 5. So this is going to be $12,830 and 21 cents. Okay, let's look at another example. What is the principal for a continuously compounded account? Okay, guys, there you go. There's that word, continuously. earning 4.7% for 12 years that now has a balance of $36,000. Okay, now this is different. What is the principal? So P is what I'm looking for. P is my question mark. Okay, continuously compounded means I use this formula. The account earns 4.7%. Okay, that's my rate. So R equals 0.047. My T time is this 12 years right here. So that's T. That now has a balance of 36,000. This 36,000 is my A. Okay, so this one's set up just a little bit differently. So this is going to be 36,000. That's my A equals the principal. That's what I'm looking for, P. I don't know that one. And then Euler's number raised to the 0.047 times 12, R and T. Now, hopefully you're going to realize that between here and here is multiplying. So to undo multiplication, we're going to divide. We're going to divide by that Euler's number raised to that power. Because when we do that, it makes that a 1. It goes away. And we're just left with P over here. But whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. So we've got to divide 36,000 by that number as well. Okay? So when I go to my calculator this time, I'm keying in, let me put it on this side. Yeah. I'm keying in 36,000 divided by Euler's number raised to the 0.047 times 12. All right, and we get $20,481.44 since that's a 6 on the end. So we get $20,481.44. And this was that was our principal. That was our initial investment. Okay? All right, let's do another one before I let you try one. You have $840 and can choose between 2 bank offers. Okay, so look here. We're looking 2 bank offers here. The first, so let's label this number 1. The first one is 5% compounded continuously. Okay, there's that word continuously, which means I'm going to use the formula with Euler's number in it. Okay, compounded continuously for 6 years. The second is compounded quarterly. Okay, when you see compounded quarterly, that means we're going to go back and use this formula that was A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the N times T. That's the formula we learned previously. For 5 years at 5.9%. What account will yield the most money? All right, so let's mark what we know. We're going to have 2 offers. Okay, so offer 2 is here. I marked offer 1 there. So let's do offer 1, and I'm using this formula for offer 2. Okay, for 1, I'm using this formula. All right. Now, you have $840. So this $840, that's your principal. That's your initial amount. Okay, first, 5.1%, that's my rate, which I convert to a decimal, 0.051. And 6 years is going to be my time. Okay, so let's set that one up before we look at the second one. So we've got A equals my initial amount, 840, Euler's number raised to the R, 0.051, times T, which is 6. Now let's just go ahead and work that one. So 840 times Euler's number raised to the 0.051 times 6. All right, that gives us $1,140.71 since that's a 5. So this one, we get $1,140.71. Okay, now let's look at the second one and mark what we know. Now, your initial investment of $840 is still going to be the same for the second one. The second is compounded quarterly. Okay, quarterly, that's your N, and there's 4 quarters to a year, so your N is 4. 5 years, that's your T, and then 5.9%, I'm going to bring that down here. That's your rate, which is going to be 0.059. Okay, so let's set this one up. I'm still looking for A. My initial amount is the 840. times 1 plus, okay, my rate is 0.059 over n, which is 4, raised to the n times t. So that's 4 times 5. Okay, I am going to simplify the 4 times 5 to 20, but I'm not going to do anything to the inside of that. All right, let's punch this in and see what we get. Now, you're going to have to remember that you have to use more parentheses this time. So 840, open parentheses, 1 plus another open parentheses, 0.059 divided by 4, close that parentheses, then close the other parenthesis, and raise it to the 20th power. Okay, we get $1,125. Since it's 0.798, that's going to be 0.80. So this one gives us $1,125.80. All right, the question is, what account will yield the most money? Well, you can look here and see this one is 1,140. This one's 1,125. So this choice 1 yields the most money. Not by much, but it does yield the most money. So we would want to go with choice 1. All right, I want you to pause the video and try to do this one down here, and then come back and I will have worked it. Okay, Hannah opened a savings account and deposited $400 as principal. The account earns 9% interest compounded continuously. Hopefully you picked up on that word, continuously. What is the balance after 10 years? All right, so let's mark what we know. She opened a savings account and deposited $400. That's your P. The account earns 9% interest. That's your R, which is going to be 0.09. Compounded continuously means I'm going to use the Euler's number formula. A equals P times Euler's number to the rate times time. What is the balance after 10 years? That's your T. All right, so let's fill in. I'm looking for A. P is 400. Euler's number raised to the 0.09. That's your rate times the time, 10. All right, we plug that in. 400. Euler's number raised to the 0.09 times 10. That gives us $983.84. So $983.84. All right, guys, as always, if you have questions, let me know. Just remember that on this one, the key word is continuously. That word compounded continuously is the indicator that you're using this formula.